are listening to WHIP, Philly's #1 college radio station here in North Philadelphia. It's Tuesday, November 4th, and guys, it is Election Day. One great thing about this country, when you're displeased with your politician every couple of years, you can vote them out of office. Unfortunately, as sports fans, we cannot do the same thing when we are displeased with certain players. Even though the public outrage may change the front office's opinions on players and they may act on it, unfortunately, it only goes so far when you're angry with a player. So now it is time for Temple Sports Hour's Election Day. I hope you're excited for it. We're going to do 4 votes, and we're going to cover each major team in Philadelphia. So I'm going to start off with the Philadelphia Phillies. They're not playing right now. Obviously, they've had a poor past couple seasons, and they're one of the worst teams in baseball now. The future's not too bright. Things keep getting worse and worse and worse. And my question for you, it's a no-brainer. Obviously, everyone wants Amaro gone. But if you could vote one person out of Philadelphia, I'm going to list 4 names here. Who are you voting out? Ruben Amaro Jr., Ryan Howard, Dominic Brown, or Marlon Byrd? Marlon Byrd because he's older, and of course. But, obviously he had a very good year.
Marlon Byrd because you could get something for him, potentially.
So who are we voting out, boys?
I think I would have to say Ruben Amaro. I know it's the obvious choice, and it's probably what both of you are going to say if I had to guess. Mm-hmm. But he's just made too many mistakes. He keeps trying to contend when he should be selling high on some of his younger players and some of his more valuable players. I think what Pat Gillick has done since David Montgomery kind of took a leave out of office. I really like what Pat Gillick's done because he formed that 2008 World Series championship team. So if they want to give him the interim job, if they fire Amaro, I would be really excited for the prospect of building back up our farm system. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, yeah, I want Amaro gone.
All right, you're voting Amaro out of Philadelphia. Ed?
A question for Kevin real quick.
Sure.
If they go in and they nix Amaro, you want them to have him, the Phillies, bring this guy in as an interim, or do you want them to go on a wide GM search?
No, I think they should go on a wide GM search.
Yeah, you have the offseason here to play with.
But Pat Gillick is experienced, and he would be someone who can oversee in kind of an assistant GM in spirit, not in title, where he's helping out.
He's still calling the shots, essentially, but he doesn't have the official position. Right. Fair enough. Ed, who are you voting out of the Philadelphia Phillies organization?
I got to agree with Kevin. Amaro, you've been here since how long? What,
2008?
2009. You did have
6 seasons with Amaro.
6 seasons. He had, 1 or 2 good years.
And he was kind of just banking on what Pat Gillick had built up for him.
He lucked into a lot of the talent that he had. Realistically, who has he brought in while he was GM that has made a big difference?
Roy Halladay.
Okay.
Hunter Pence.
Cliffley,
I'm sorry.
Hunter Pence, and he's lost Hunter Pence since.
Yeah, Hunter Pence.
You lost Hunter Pence
nothing.
real quick. Yeah, exactly. You got almost nothing for him. I don't know. I don't see
keeping him here.
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense to me, because if the man's not doing anything for the team right now, why continue to have him in the organization?
I agree.
He didn't make any big-time trade this year, that they maybe needed to bring somebody in, or you got guys with expiring contracts. Do something.
Here's the thing. I think after the 2012 season, if he had gotten fired, no Philadelphians would have complained. And right. I think that's a sign, if he's still here 2 years after that, that's not a good sign that he should still be here.
No, I agree.
All right, it's time for my vote. And since I posed the question, I'm going to say Amaro gets voted out of here. If you had to say there's one person in Philadelphia sports with the lowest approval rating, the man is Ruben Amaro Jr. And I think...
Is it possible to have a negative approval rating?
You know what? I think he's less popular in Congress right now in the United States. I think, U.S. Congress approval rating is like 12%, something like that. Amaro's percent of approval rating in Philadelphia has to be below 5%. You know what? It'll be tough to find one person that's actually in favor of keeping him.
I was about to say the same thing. I don't think I could find one legitimate Phillies fan who says, oh, yeah, I like what he's doing.
Yeah.
I don't think that person's out there.
Now, to stick up for Amaro a bit, he started off, I actually like what he did here at first. I'm going to say in 2009, 2010, bringing in Roy Halladay was amazing.
He brought some of the best. Trade was good, and the original Cliffley trade was good.
Some of my best memories as a Phillies fan has been courtesy of Roy Halladay. He was an awesome pitcher, and to credit Amaro with this at least. It's been 6 years here. 3 years they made the playoffs. The past 3 they haven't. And the first 3 years, consider that his first term. It was a very successful first term. Even though it slowly got worse, it was a gradual decline, they were competitive. And he was willing to make moves that most GMs were afraid to do. We've seen too far often in Philadelphia sports. General managers are just like, you know what, I don't want to pull the trigger on a big move. Amaro was like, you know what, we're going for it now. He went all in. It was risky, and the risk obviously didn't pan out. But having said that, there were some things Amaro did that, like, you know what, thank you for bringing in Halliday. Thank you for bringing in Cliff Lee. There was some fun baseball to watch. But you know what, his time is out. He's done nothing productive for the team in the past 3-4 years. Amaro, you're being voted out of Philadelphia.
And I hate to say this. I hate to compare him to my Yankees, but he kind of pulled like the Cashman thing. Like, let's bring in some older talent and see if they can do it. No, older talent's not going to do it for you. You need to get young players who are going to be franchise players.
Exactly. John, you talked about him going all in, and I think his biggest problem is that he went all in a lot. He went all in on Roy Halladay and Cliff Lee, and both of those trades worked out for him. But the Hunter Pence trade, the original trade, he gave up too much for Hunter Pence. Jonathan Singleton's turned out to be a pretty good player, and Jared Cosart's going to be a good relief pitcher. And then when he eventually traded him away, he didn't get enough for Hunter Pence. And then in his later years of his tenure, those moves didn't really work out. He signed these older players to sometimes long-term deals for big money, like Mike Adams, who I actually like that signing, but it hasn't turned out well. And giving big money to Marlon Byrd and A.J. Burnett, and then not finding any value for them at the trade deadline when you're obviously not a contender. He's just made a lot of questionable moves, and I'm ready to see him gone.
He's got to get some young talent.
Agreed. So all of us in agreement that Ruben Amaro Jr., you're being voted out of Philadelphia by the sports fans. So now the next election, the next topic. The Philadelphia Eagles, the quarterback position. Last year, Nick Foles comes essentially out of nowhere in the sense that he was a third-round pick, not too high of expectations for the quarterback out of Arizona. He throws 27 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, leads the Eagles to the playoffs and a very successful season. They get bounced in the first round, but everyone was satisfied with Foles' play. So everyone's expecting him to be a leader coming into the season, and he had a very bad start, first 8 games of the year. He's thrown 312 passes, only completed 187 of them, so his completion percentage is 59.9%. Here's the thing that troubles Eagles fans. 13 touchdowns, 10 interceptions.
Whew.
QBR,
that sounds like Eli Manning numbers.
Yeah, QBR of 81.5. He has the third most picks in the NFL, only trailing Geno Smith, who got benched for Michael Vick, and Blake Bortles, who's a rookie quarterback out of Jacksonville. So my question to you now, with him going down with an injury and going into next year, who will be the man that will lead this franchise? Who are you voting for quarterback? Nick Foles, Mark Sanchez, or a third-party candidate? Kev, I'll defer to you first.
Can we establish, do we think there was a good amount of luck involved with Nick Foles' performance last year?
Yes.
Yeah, that's fair. He overachieved.
So is it possible that there's a good amount of bad luck involved with his performance this year?
Partly.
I think maybe there's a little regression to the mean possible if Nick Foles comes back next year. Having said that, I think he's an average to slightly above average quarterback. And if I had to pick between Mark Sanchez, Nick Foles, and a third-party candidate, I think I would go for a third-party candidate.
And who would your write-in be?
Obviously
Mickey Mouse, of course.
Obviously Mickey Mouse. Obviously. I think in an ideal world, it would be Marcus Mariota, who played under Chip Kelly at Oregon.
Bring Jameis Winston in.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind Jameis.
Questionable
either.
decision-making on Winston's end.
He could be stealing some crab legs on South Street.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just not a huge Winston fan as a person. I don't care how much you like crab legs. Please pay for them. But I think Mariota is a perfect fit for the system, and obviously because he played in the system under Chip at Oregon. So I think that would be ideal, but I don't think that's really possible.
So you are going to vote for the third-party candidate then?
I
Essentially,
am.
Who is your vote, Kevin Rowley?
Third-party candidate. Final answer,
Ed
Regis.
LeFurge. I know you are not a Philadelphia sports fan, but you live in the city now.
I do.
During the school year, and you see how crazy the Philadelphia fans are about football, as you're a huge football fan.
Of
New York,
course.
2 big sports markets, and you've seen quarterback controversy, time and time again, coach controversy. So who are you going to vote for? You voting Foles out? Or who's going to be the quarterback next year? You voting for Foles, Sanchez, or third-party candidate?
See, this is difficult because you have Foles, who last year played great, this year is struggling. Now we're talking Mark Sanchez. I haven't really seen enough of Sanchez to know what he's going to be like. In the short time he did play, he threw 2 interceptions, kind of a little skeptical to me.
2 touchdowns.
2 touchdowns. and a third-party candidate. I mean, there's so many gray areas to this one, but I'm gonna say a third-party candidate. I don't think Sanchez is going to be a great quarterback in this league. I think the Eagles and Chip Kelly in particular needs to find his quarterback.
I think, like, a third-party candidate, I have a better option than Mariota because I think that's unrealistic. I think a guy who's probably going to be available in this offseason, I mentioned it to you yesterday, John. Jake Locker of the Tennessee Titans is a guy who's had trouble with injuries, but when he's played, he's been pretty good, and he could be a really good fit as an really athletic, strong-arm quarterback in this Chip Kelly system.
It's interesting.
Absolutely. So now my vote, and you know what? We're going to vote, once again, a clean sweep. I'm going to vote for the third-party candidate, Nick Foles. If there's any Philadelphia athlete who had the highest approval rating in Philadelphia last year, it was Nick Foles.
Sure.
Everyone in town was excited because we thought that the quarterback of the future was now here. Nick Foles, you were leading this franchise to the first ring. And Kevin Rowley broke up with him last week. And you know what? You've seen signs. Kevin, there's a tear going down his face right now as we speak. But I think it was a bit of a luck, and he overachieved. And I think most of it's because of Chip Kelly's system. We've seen time and time again that it almost seems like it doesn't matter who's in there. If you can just stay away from turnovers and they have a bounce attack like they did the past Sunday, they're going to win a lot of games. A lot of targets there, a lot of talent. And Sanchez, I think he should start the rest of the year. If he plays well, I'm not putting Foles back in there. I'm going to keep Sanchez, even if it's the playoffs, if he plays well. That's a big if. And then going forward for next year, I'm not voting for either of these guys because Sanchez, his better days are behind him. I think he played pretty good in New York sometimes. And it was a defensive-minded coach like we added with Rex Ryan. Not a lot of targets there. He has some targets here. He'll play okay, but he's not the quarterback going forward. So Sanchez and Foles, you do not get my vote. I'm voting for my third-party candidate. So now, Proposition 1776, Proposition 1776 for the 76ers. The tank from Sam Hinkie has been controversial for many people. Guys like Howard Eskin and Angelo Cataldi have complained that it's just not going to work. It's too big of a risk. And then you have the younger audience really in favor of this. So it's a generation gap. So you have the younger generation in favor of Proposition tanking, and then you have the older who are not in favor of it. Guys, do we vote to keep the tank on? Yes or no?
I am not just in favor of the tank. I am driving the tank. Sam Hinkie is on the turret, and I am driving. I love this. They are taking advantage of what is essentially a loophole in the NBA system, so much so that the NBA tried to change the lottery system on the Sixers this year, only having it voted down. They have a new way to acquire assets quickly, and it's by being bad. It's by being bad over a 2 to 3, maybe even 4-year period, and being able to acquire these young, good players, and they've done really well at it. They have Michael Carter-Williams, who, whatever you think, is a solid, if unspectacular player. They have Nerlens Noel, who already appears to be a really good defensive player. He had 5 steals last night as a center.
And he stopped James Harden with a dunk. Really nice block there at the rim.
One of the coolest plays of the year so far in the NBA. And they have Joel Embiid, who I think is going to be the crown jewel of this 2014 draft, which is a really strong draft, so that's saying something. And Dario Saric, who kind of reminds people, I don't know too much about his game, but from what I've heard, he kind of reminds people of a Boris Diaw type. And I like Boris Diaw's game. Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to seeing who they can get in this next year's draft, because they're going to be bad this year. And I'm in favor of the tank.
Proposition 1776, Proposition 1776. Kevin Rowley's all in. As a matter of fact, I think you got a sign on your lawn as well, because you really love what Hinkie's doing.
Oh, yeah.
So long sign.
So, Ed LeFurge, you are not... no, actually, aren't you a Sixers fan?
I am a Sixers fan.
All right, the only team in Philadelphia he does root for are the Philadelphia 76ers. The brighter days are ahead of the Sixers. Ed, are you in favor of the tank, or are you voting to keep it?
Here's how I feel. I have a hard time, if I'm a coach or I'm a general manager, talking to my players about losing. I'm all about winning, okay? How am I going to sit there and expect players to lose just so we can get better and get better draft picks? That doesn't sit well with me. I get the idea behind the concept. I understand that. However, I don't want to lose. I want to give 110% in every game to try to win. So, no, I don't agree with this tanking thing.
Oh, we got one vote. We got one nay. We have one yay and one nay. And I guess I'm going to be the deciding factor, and I'm going to vote yay 100%. I'm excited because the way you acquire talent in the NBA, You're either going to have to go through free agency or through the draft.
No one's coming to Philadelphia in free agency in basketball. I mean, the Eagles are an attractive destination. The Phillies, not so much anymore. And the Flyers, somewhat. But the Philadelphia 76ers have never been able to attract marquee free agents.
Well, I'll tell you what, they got a bunch of young talent that, hey, you put somebody with this young talent, I think it might be a little attractive.
And you know what?
Exactly.
You don't
That's
get that young.
because of the tank.
You
Is
don't
that they're
get-
able to attract free agents. They have young good players now.
The tank has already started to pay off, and I'm loving it, even though you're going to see another unsuccessful season from the Sixers. But in a sense, it's exciting to watch because greater things are on the horizon. I'm excited as a Sixers fan. I vote yay.
Sam Hinkie, write-in candidate for Pennsylvania governor, 2014.
Sorry, Wolf. Sorry, Corbett. We got our vote for our Sam Hinkie. So
I'm
now
all in on Hinkie.
everyone's all in on Hinkie. So I also have another sign on my lawn for Hinkie 2014. So now our last vote of the day, the Philadelphia Flyers. Of course, we haven't talked about them much this year. They were off to a bit of a questionable start. And they actually got hot a little bit as of late. I think they were on a 3-game win streak just last week. So the question being, now for the rest of the season, Steve Mason had a very good year last year. He gets the contract. A lot of faith going forward in him to be the goalie of the future. This season, he's no wins, 4 losses, and 1 overtime tie. He has a save percentage of 88.7%. And he hasn't had a win all year. When you got Ray Emery at 4 wins, 1 loss, and 1 tie, a save percentage at 91.5. So if the play keeps going on for Mason, you got to wonder. So the bail being now, for the rest of the season, who do you vote as your Philadelphia Flyers goalie?
Here's the thing. We are early in the NHL season, and we have seen Ray Emery be an outstanding backup goalie in Chicago a couple years ago. He's a really, really good backup. So I am going with Steve Mason. I don't think Ray Emery can handle this kind of workload. We've seen what he can do as a starter, and he's not as effective in that role. And Steve Mason was incredible in the playoffs last year. I think it's just a slow start for him, and it'll pick up.
All right, so even though Mason's approval rating slowly going down, you think he still has what it takes to lead the Flyers?
Yes.
All right, Ed, let's hear it.
All right, we got 1 minute left here. I'll make this real quick. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think you let Mason go on a short leash. If it gets bad, you bring Emery in.
All right, I guess we're going to have another clean sweep here. I'm going to go with Mason. I have my faith in him, but having said that, I love that we have Emery as a backup in Philadelphia because he's one of the best backup goalies in the whole NHL. And he's had a pretty good season so far. And the debate will only fire up if Mason continues to play bad. But you know what? No problem. We're going to keep Mason in there for now. So that is the first ever Temple Sports Hour Election Day votes. I hope everyone enjoyed that one.